Tim and I have been talking about building an RTS for many years. This is something that it's a game that needs to be made. This is an audience that needs and deserves another big next step. And it's something that we have been wanting to make for so long. We just decided that this was a plunge we had to take. This was something that we had to do, and there was no other choice for us.
It's been a 1.5-year journey for me so far between raising the financing, building the team, and just getting the operational aspects of the company stood up. At the same time, we've had to build an engine, establish a vision for the gameplay, and also develop a whole new universe.
We gotta move. Now. There's a storm coming.
The genre of RTS, and StarCraft 2 in particular, has had so much loyalty and so much stability in its core fan base that it is inspiring to think about how long RTS has been on the market and how rarely big, impactful RTS games get made for this audience.
I understand the thought process at major publishers around real-time strategy. By nature of having reached the scale that they have, there's an expectation that they're going to focus on the most predictable successes that they can. They're public companies, their shareholders expect that from them, and it's smart from a business perspective. For us, being so passionate about this genre, the question we ask ourselves is not, is this the way that we can maximize return on investment? The question we ask ourselves is, can we make something great that we believe players will love and that we will be proud of at the end of the day? And that's the freedom that comes from being at a smaller company. We're just lucky to be in a position where we can focus on what we're really passionate about.
Our goal is rooted in the personal level. It's rooted in what we love. This is rooted in what we feel. We're not reading off of some spreadsheet and saying the best calculus for us to reach success, to reach the most revenue, is by going into this category and doing this sort of microtransaction, and boom, let's somehow make a game that kind of sort of supports that.
We knew there were two possible approaches we could take. One approach was completely throw out everything that's come before with RTS and try to reimagine the genre as something new. The other approach is to take everything that's come before and try to make improvements based on the feedback that we've gotten working on those things. And we very much took that approach.
One of the things I love most about RTSs is that you can play them in so many different ways, and none of the ways is the right way, the one mode to rule them all, right? RTSs have a huge, rich history in competitive play, but they're also really well known for incredibly strong stories told through campaigns. You can look at a game like StarCraft and you can see such an incredibly strong cooperative mode there.
A lot of players, they find PvP really intimidating, but with the co-op experience where you're just kind of beating up on an AI player, you know, that's very approachable. And not only that, your friend who is maybe more experienced can bring you in, onboard you, and kind of show you the ropes.
We really believe that games have moved from being solitary experiences to being social experiences. There's been tremendous evolution, whether you look at MOBA or Battle Royale or even experiences like Roblox that are inherently social, that bring people together in a game world or through a game experience. RTS has offered some multiplayer modes before, and we added 2-player co-op with Legacy of the Void to StarCraft 2, but there really hasn't been an RTS designed from the ground up with facilitating social experiences in mind. And for us, you know, in the campaign, it's now possible to play cooperatively. Our formerly 2-player co-op mode in StarCraft 2 is now a 3-player open-ended co-op experience in Stormgate.
One of the things we're looking into for 3-player co-op is the idea of soft role differentiation. We want players to be able to fill the roles that they feel very comfortable in. We kind of already have that in a way with StarCraft 2 co-op, where some commanders are better at defending, some commanders are better at attacking, but we want to really emphasize that in Stormgate. We want to say maybe an experienced player can just build the army, can take care of the threats, whereas a more newbie player, someone who's new to the game, is able to kind of just expand, build their bases, defend their bases, and support their ally. Competitive PvP in Stormgate will consist of 2 distinct modes. There's going to be the 1v1 mode, which is going to appeal to the core RTS audience, the core audience that really is into esports and really into the journey to mastery. We're also going to have a looser 3v3 PvP team battle mode in which you can bring in friends and have a lot of fun there.
Story is near and dear to my heart personally, as well as many people on the team. And I want to answer the question about whether or not we're going to support story, whether or not we're going to have a campaign mode or what that's going to look like. And I want to say unequivocally yes, that we are absolutely going to deliver a fantastic story. We are delivering campaigns that you can play single player. You can also play them co-op, which is a new addition to the genre. I think it's going to bring something new to the table where you can experience these stories, not just by yourself, which is fantastic if that's how you want to do it, but you can also share them with a friend. And in my experiences, cooperative experiences bring a lot of just additional value, additional enjoyment to the table. And so as a team, co-op is something that we believe in, and finding a way to weave that into the story is going to be really important to Stormgate.
Command, I may be onto something.
So all kinds of terrible things are happening on Earth. We've got overpopulation, we've got climate change, we have extreme weather, and all of these things have put humanity in a very perilous position. So one of the things I'd like to talk about, if it's all right, is a science program that humanity has initiated to try and address these problems. It's called Sigma. And this ties into the Stormgates, the name of the game. So the Sigma program, there are different branches of the Sigma program. Sigma 6 is actually part of the program that happens in the Arctic. And what they're trying to do is open up a portal to another dimension. So basically, so humanity could escape if they need to get away when the Earth becomes uninhabitable. So they're actually able to do that. They open this portal. It happens during a solar storm in the Arctic. But what they did is they opened a doorway to basically the infernal homeworld.
We all come from different backgrounds as far as games we worked on and at different studios and stuff like that. So we all come in with kind of our own plan. And then as we're kind of working through things, we come up with a lot of different ideas as a group. The ideas are better as a group, I'm finding. We go into a lot of things we're designing and I'm like, okay, I got a plan for what I want this to be. And then as the concept artists kind of get their thoughts into it, we all kind of, it's always pluses that, and then the modelers get it, and then they have ideas that they want to add on to it. And so it's kind of a group design in a way, with the humans with the very curvilinear designs and stuff like that, kind of the sleek feel. But then kind of as we're diving more into it, we want kind of a bit more beaten down kind of look. And so we're still kind of figuring a lot of that out right now. And so we all just have, what's neat is we're all bringing our own influences in, and that's what's really nice about being at a smaller studio, is like everybody can kind of get their own flavor into the soup in a way.
So the mechs are part of the advanced technology that we're going to see in the game, and we'll see all kinds of things. You know, it's a little bit of a mixture of things that we're very familiar with that really haven't changed very much, and technology that has moved forward and has progressed, and the mechs are part of that. You know, the way we talk about it is basically mechs were originally built to help with, you know, construction projects and things like that, but obviously they're being used against the Infernals. And it helps when you have something that's just as big and powerful as an Infernal to go up against it, as we saw in the cinematic.
We're trying to really think like where technology will be before the apocalypse really happens, and then kind of rediscovering that technology in the process. We're just now kind of getting to like, what is the world like that is not the factions that are fighting it, but the people that are still living there? Is it all beaten down and they're just in little tents here and there? Are they still rebuilding? Do they have buildings that are still existing? And so we're trying to give this kind of lived in kind of vibe. And I'm hoping not to tell like a story artistically that's just like, everyone's just waiting to die. Like, I want it to feel like humanity is prospering in groups and in clusters, that the human faction is trying to keep protected and grow, but then also learn from like what humanity has done in the past, being able to harness Mother Nature in a way that's sustainable, and it's not just like continuing to keep keep taking and stuff like that. So we're looking at like what would they do for wind energy or sun energy or other ways that we just haven't thought of with biology and algae growth for like food and stuff like that. And it's a lot of thinking about things and talking about it that we then inspire us artistically to then go in and try to build that in the designs of the world and stuff.
So Infernals have been here before. You'll notice that they look demonic. They're not demons in the Judeo-Christian sense of demons, what we on Earth know as demons. They're an otherworldly race that basically goes from one planet to another, and they take resources, they take some of the best fighters on that planet, and they basically turn them into warriors to join the Infernal Army. The Infernal Army is all about numbers, all about, you know, brutality and mass numbers and savage tactics to take over their enemies, which they view as the worlds that they're invading.
We're honestly still exploring what the Infernal look is. I love the idea, and we've talked about this a lot, of what if what we know as a demon now is basically cave paintings and everything handed down, and so it's not just the demon we know that's red with horns, but somebody saw a millennia ago a demon, and then that is what got evolved through like the passage of time, and then word of mouth over time, that's what it became that we know of.
You know, we haven't really gotten into the characters yet. We saw a couple of characters. You know, we saw the archaeologist in the announcement cinematic. We saw the mech. We heard the voice of the person who's piloting the mech. But we have some really amazing characters that we've been spending a long time to flesh out and to give really amazing arcs. They're very complex characters. And I think when people start to learn about those characters' journeys and how that's going to fit into some really amazing gameplay, I think people are going to be very excited.
We do these weekly narrative meetings where Mickey and Tim kind of explore like what the story is and the whole background and everything like that. And it is so much bigger than I had in my head. Like it was very simplified for me when we started. It's like, oh, it's going to be this, and there is this millennia of history that they have figured out and everything like that, and kind of artistically being able to eventually get to all that and explore it as a team is really exciting to me.
So Stormgate, we're designing to really be a game that continues to evolve and move forward every single year that you're playing it. On the story side, we'll be able to unveil new twists and new turns and new characters for players to interact with every single year as we're going forward. And that's going to take form in episodic content. We will be releasing additional campaigns on a regular cadence as we move forward. And so there will always be the steady flow of new stories, new interactions, new awesome missions to be playing for people who love that. But even beyond story in all aspects, Stormgate is a game that is designed to be ever evolving. We will be releasing new content on a regular cadence. We will be introducing new characters that can be played in the form of heroes on the team side and on the co-op side. We'll be introducing new maps and constantly churning the map pool on the competitive side, introducing balance changes. This is a torch that we're carrying forward well into the future, and we're building this game to have legs so that it's something that players can know and love for many years.
With StarCraft 2, we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. I've spent a lot of time at BlizzCons and things like that, standing behind players who are, playing the game for the first time and watching them play and seeing sort of the struggles that they have. How do we get those people into the game? How do we make it a little bit easier for them to kind of get into the groove, get into the fun of playing the game as quickly as possible?
Part of what we're trying to do is just look for the areas that are creating friction, that are intimidating, and polish those. Not take away the depth, not take away the high skill aspect of the game, not make this baby's first RTS or a dumbed down real-time strategy game. But at the same time, try to put ourselves back into the mindset of what it's like to be a new player coming in, and what were the things that we found intimidating or challenging, and improve those.
Anecdotally, as a dev, when I was on StarCraft 2, I heard a lot of stories from like people just on the street, like meeting like you, for example. And I asked them, "Oh, do you know about StarCraft?" They're like, "Yeah, I've heard about StarCraft. Do you play StarCraft?" "Yes, I've played StarCraft. How did you get into StarCraft?" And they answer back, "Oh, my friend got me into StarCraft." And this has been a very common occurrence over the past like 5 or so years of my life.
How do people come to the game? And we think a lot of people come in because their friends are pulling them in or they're recommending them. So what can we do to enhance the onboarding experience when you're playing with your friend who's trying to bring you in? Is there things that we can do there?
Rather than have their friend wait while they try a tutorial, being able to learn how to play the game with your friend at the same time that they're playing a mission, perhaps giving you pointers, is powerful.
What are some of the things about actually playing the game that are a huge barrier to teaching the player how to play? What are some of the things about playing the game that make it something that people might feel is too overwhelming to continue to play once they learn? Like, how can we make it so that people feel really comfortable getting into that groove of having the fun and engaging with the strategy inside the game? We know that players also struggle even once they've learned the basics, because there's so many different micromanagement tasks that are required to even just play the game at even a basic level, that we really want to kind of smooth and improve as we can over time. Control groups are something that are critically important to RTS games, not just StarCraft 2, but pretty much every RTS game in existence relies upon control groups in one way or another. Control groups allow you to sort of group a set of units and then press a single hotkey to select those units and then issue them orders and things like that. But that's actually a really difficult thing to teach players. One of the things that we're looking at in Stormgate is to have these control groups be automated. So as soon as a unit comes out of a barracks or a factory or something like that, it will automatically be added to a control group. And that makes it really easy for us to teach new players. This whole approach of hitting all of these different things to make sure that we have a social experience when people get into the game. We have team modes so that the game feels, has some amount of virality so that people want to bring in their friends to play because there's something to play with their friends. And so that once their friends come in, the game feels easier to onboard through tutorialization or special maps that might make it easier to learn to play alongside your friend, or some of these UI tools that we've talked about, like automated control groups that make it easier to kind of get into the meat of playing the game and having fun, and putting off some of the mechanical barrier maybe to a little bit later in your career as a player.
I have been developing this type of game for many, many years, and I am constantly blown away by the quality and the variety and just the innovation of the types of maps and mods that the community comes up with when we release tools to them.
User-generated content is an incredibly important part of RTS games, especially coming from Blizzard RTS game background. Warcraft 3 is maybe the greatest mod platform that ever existed, and entire genres spawned from there. Some of the most successful games of all time, Dota, League of Legends, these things came from Warcraft 3 essentially. When you open up a new map in our editor, just like Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2, you're going to see terrain. And so it'd be the first thing you see is a bunch of dirt, and you're going to be able to immediately start raising cliffs and placing trees and putting units down on it. You need to be able to get in there, and you're going to be able to see that terrain right away so that you can start to feel comfortable in the context of what you're doing. We need an approachable interface. We need a lobby system where people can clearly see the other things people are playing, so that momentum can happen for games where you see people playing, you hop in, that game gains some popularity, the word starts to spread. And we also know that it needs to be super easy for people to create and share maps very quickly so that they can get their friends in, because that's a really encouraging thing as a developer. For most RTS games, when you want to launch the editor to make a map, you actually have to go, you don't do it within the game itself. You actually have to go into Windows, find the folder for the game, and there will be a separate application that you launch to create a game. By putting it directly in the game, even at the top level, so you have campaign, co-op, create something, that's something that we really want to achieve because it'll get so many more people to try out these tools. And it also puts a lot of impetus on us in order to make sure that the tools are a really first-class experience as well.
Stormgate is absolutely free to play. The decision to go free to play is rooted entirely in our desire to tear down barriers to the RTS genre. We want players to come in and experience this genre that we love. We want to bring not just current fans of RTS, we want to bring people who maybe remember playing an RTS many years ago but who lapsed, and we want to bring them back. We want to bring in new players. And so lowering that price point barrier to free to play is rooted in making our community healthier and bringing more players in here. But then allowing people to buy more content of the types that they want. So this is something that is entirely opt-in. You can play all these different modes without paying for content there. But if you want more of different types of content, then you can vote with your dollars and you can support us to continue making that type of content for you. We are absolutely not pay to win. I don't need to say no NFTs again, but there's no NFTs. And loot boxes, for example, we get asked loot boxes all the time. Does free to play mean that you're doing some sort of coercive loot box monetization scheme? And no, that's not what we're doing. I can put that concern to ease. Free to play is about bringing more players into RTS so that we can all have fun playing this game together.
We learned a lot taking StarCraft 2 free to play in 2017. The thing that we saw when we did that was that the player base substantially increased. And as a developer, of course, we want more people to experience what we build, but even for the health of the player community, that bigger player base is critical. I mean, it's like part of our core mission with Stormgate to bring RTS to more players. So it just makes sense for us to be free to play, but it's important for us to approach that in a way that avoids the potential pitfalls of that business model.
We want to make sure that we're thinking about esports from the player perspective. In a lot of games, esports is seen as this high pinnacle of just the most elite players in the world are engaging with this, and then everyone else is relegated to watching. We don't see it that way. We see it as just another way of engaging with the best that you personally can do and pushing yourself to new limits. So when we're thinking about esports and ways that players can engage, we want to look at it in all the different aspects and find things that really speak to different skill levels of players and different types of engaging with the game. Stormgate's integrated esports system is really trying to make it so that getting involved with your first competition is super simple and super approachable. Once you've gotten involved and gotten that taste of competition, we're looking to surface as much information as we can to help players understand what did they do well in a game? What did they maybe misstep and miss a proper strategy or proper execution so that they can then figure out, okay, if I want to practice and get better, here's the way to do it. And maybe that's going to involve surfacing some content from creators that are really getting involved in the community as well. And we want to make sure there's these touch points that bring the players' enthusiasm and desire to go deeper into the rest of the community and build something that feels really strong for everyone involved. So if you're coming in toward the path to pro and you just want to have a good casual experience with your friends, that's something that we want to reward and make available to you. However, if you want to grow in your experience and try to actually push yourself to your personal limits, maybe try to go professional, we want to make sure that you're getting really high quality competition against other players of similar skill so that you're getting awesome practice and you're able to push yourself and continue to grow. And that will go through a very predictable and a very approachable path to pro experience, getting you up to the point that you're on broadcast and developing fans and able to speak to the people that are loving the strategies that you're creating and the skill that you're able to show the rest of the world and the rest of the community. We can build this approachable circuit that finds the best players, teaches them what they need to do to level up their game, and then displays these really cool narratives that we're going to be building year-round to show high-quality entertainment to the viewers. This starts from tournaments that we're going to be running ourselves, but it also integrates third-party competitions that we'll be supporting in many different ways so that anywhere in the world that someone's playing from, they're going to be able to show their skill and show themselves being better than their competitors and getting onto that main stage.
We feel a burden to try to live up to the expectations that players have, and we have our work cut out for us on that front. The best way that the community and players who are interested in Stormgate can help us is by providing feedback, and that's possible to do by participating in the subreddit, which is /r Stormgate, and also looking for opportunities to both participate in the beta and to participate in other feedback sessions that we hold between now and the launch of the product.
The RTS community is the best. That's why we're here. That's why this company was founded. That's why this game is being made and why all of this incredible team have come together to make this. It's because of you. It's because of this community. And so I just want to encourage you and say thank you. I can't wait to see where this adventure goes, and hope that we live up to everything that you're wanting to see here. You, the community, are our North Star and why we're building this. So thank you for all the support, and let's go and make a great game together.